Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something that honestly kind of flips the script on how we look at our bodies. We're always talking about health like it's just this super basic math problem. Eat less, move more, right? But what if it's not? What if the real reasons we struggle have literally nothing to do with a lack of willpower and everything to do with hidden psychological forces? Today we're going to bridge that gap between old-school psychotherapy and practical modern well-being.
Okay, let's take a quick look at our roadmap. 1. The hidden drivers of behavior. 2. The inferiority complex. 3. Trauma, grief, and health. 4. The biopsychology connection. And 5. The Zadeema reflection method.
So, I want to start by asking you to think about this. Why do we sabotage our own health? Think about your own life for a second. We've all been there. You set up this perfectly strict diet or a flawless workout routine, and then, a week later, you completely abandon it. We always blame what's on the surface, right? We say, oh, I'm just lazy, or I have zero self-control. But what if that surface-level excuse is actually completely misleading? What if there's this massive machine running in the background, literally making the choices for you?
Sigmund Freud actually nailed this concept with his classic iceberg model of the human psyche. He pioneered the idea that what we consciously experience, that tiny tip of the iceberg sticking out of the water, is just a fraction of what's going on in our minds. The massive, dangerous bulk hiding underwater, that's the unconscious. Freud realized that what we call a lack of discipline or laziness is really just the tip of the iceberg, hiding these massive, primitive drives and hidden memories churning away in the deep water below.
Section 1. The hidden drivers of behavior, exploring the unconscious mind. There is an absolute stark contrast between the forces inside our own heads. Freud broke the unconscious down, and on one side you've got the id. The id is 100% primal. It runs on the pleasure principle. It wants sugar, it wants rest, it wants immediate comfort, and it wants it right this second. But then on the total opposite side is the superego. This is that incredibly harsh, judgmental voice in your head made up of societal shame and parental rules. Think about it. You get this intense, primal urge to crush a whole box of junk food. That's the id. And then the second you finish, you're attacked by this punishing, aggressive guilt. That's the id and the superego going to war. And guess who is caught right in the crossfire? Your ego. The ego is your conscious, decision-making self. It operates on the reality principle, which means it's constantly trying to negotiate some kind of peace treaty between the id's wild desires and the superego's crushing guilt. It just wants to find a way to survive in the real world. So if you're ever feeling completely exhausted from fighting your own habits, well, it's probably because your ego is working overtime, trying to manage these massive, invisible forces.
Moving on to Section 2, the inferiority complex, Adler's theory of motivation.
Now, Alfred Adler was a contemporary of Freud, and he dropped this truly profound idea. To be human is to feel inferior. Wow, just let that sink in. He realized it's a universal experience, and it's rooted all the way back in our childhood. Every single one of us starts out life surrounded by adults who are literally bigger, smarter, and stronger than us. We all start from a position of inferiority. So a huge part of our psychology and our physical health is actually about unlearning the shame we attach to that feeling when we think we don't measure up.
Adler pointed out that this hidden feeling of inferiority basically forces us down one of two paths. In a balanced mind, you get healthy compensation. That feeling of being smaller actually motivates you to step up, conquer challenges, and grow your confidence. But if you let that feeling completely defeat you, that's when an inferiority complex develops. You just shut down or you desperately chase external validation. It's wild to think that this hidden complex is either the engine driving your health journey or the emergency brake totally paralyzing it.
Section 3. Trauma, grief, and health. The deep core of habits.
Okay, let's bring this out of the history books and into reality. Take Coach Omar al-Sharif's story. At age 14, growing up in Saudi Arabia, Omar experienced the tragic loss of his father. And that intense, unprocessed grief, it didn't just stay in his head. It manifested physically during his teens as extreme stillness, eating junk food, and significant weight gain. His trauma was directly writing his health habits. It wasn't until adulthood, after a major accident, that he started rebuilding his life by studying training science and biopsychology. He realized firsthand that you absolutely cannot separate a person's physical health from their unaddressed pain. Section 4. The biopsychology connection, bridging the mind and body. Omar developed the Zadeema well-being system to tackle exactly this. Normally, we treat health like it's in all these little disconnected boxes, right?
Someone talks to you about diet, someone else about stress, another person about motivation. But biopsychology completely shatters that. It shows us the body and mind are a living, connected system. Food isn't just fuel, it's literally information for your nervous system. So skipping a workout or eating poorly isn't some simple moral failure or lack of willpower. It's very often a biological shift triggered by your stress and your psychological state.
Just think about all these hidden biological influences on our discipline. When you skip the gym, the easy thing is to just say, I'm lazy. But biopsychology looks deeper. Is it actually terrible sleep causing central fatigue? Is your blood sugar crashing and making you crave carbs? Is your nervous system totally fried from a massive stress load? When you're overwhelmed, your brain literally steps in and caps your energy output to protect you. What feels like a total loss of motivation is actually just your biology trying to keep you safe.
Section 5. The Zadeema Reflection Method, from self-blame to self-understanding.
This right here is a massive mindset shift. The Zadeema method wants us to completely ditch self-blame and replace it with self-understanding. When you fall off the wagon, your superego usually jumps right in to shame you, calling you lazy. But Zadeema says, let's replace that harsh judgment with pure curiosity. Stop asking, why am I lazy? And start asking, what is actually happening inside my body right now that's influencing this behavior?
And to answer that question, we have 5 really simple, actionable steps. First, notice. Just observe your body without judging yourself. Second, name it. Stop saying I'm lazy and say I have low energy. See the difference? Third, connect. Link that feeling back. Did you sleep poorly yesterday? Are you super stressed? Fourth, respond. Choose a smart, non-emotional action. Maybe drink some water or take a rest day instead of forcing a brutal workout. And fifth, record. Jot it down so you spot the pattern next time. It takes all that abstract psychology and turns it into a totally practical, compassionate daily audit.
And this reflection process is actually part of the bigger Zadeema Foundation program loop. Learn, apply, review, adjust, and sustain. You learn about your body, try out a small action, review what happens using the reflection method, adjust your plan intelligently, and then sustain it. Guys, it is not a quick fix or crash diet. It's an ongoing, compassionate cycle of unlearning shame, uncovering your hidden drivers, and actually building real, sustainable health over time.
I really want to leave you with this quote from Coach Omar because it hits the nail right on the head for this whole explainer. You cannot sustain what you do not understand. That's the absolute truth, right? If you're fighting your biology, ignoring your hidden trauma, and just letting that harsh superego yell at you, your physical routine is eventually going to collapse, period. Understanding these deep, hidden roots is the only genuine way to truly sustain your well-being.
So, I'll leave you with this to chew on. The next time you skip a workout or break your diet, what's your reaction going to be? Are you going to fall back into the trap of saying, ugh, why am I so lazy? Or will you pause, look below the surface of the iceberg and ask, what is happening inside my body? Uncovering those hidden drivers really does change the whole game. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I hope it helps you build a much more compassionate and sustainable approach to your health. See you next time.
Zadeema Wellbeing Lab, the lab that studies how humans thrive.